Let's begin. You can begin with introducing yourself.
Yeah, myself, I'm Indraneel, and I graduated from NIT Warangal in 2020. So I studied CSC there. And after that, I have been in the software for more than 6 years. So it's been 6 years already. And I have been in multiple product-based companies. So initially I worked with DShaw for 2.5 years. And then later I worked on with startup. There I worked for approximately 2 years, and then I eventually moved to Uber. But there it was a very short stint. I worked there just for 3 months, and then post that I have been working in Google since India.
Awesome, awesome. Nice introduction for the starters, bro. Yeah, so Indraneel, my question to you would be let's begin with what is your profile in Google and what kind of projects do you handle? Like anything which is non confidential and the tech stack that you would like to share.
Basically, in Google, I work in corp engineering team. So the corp engineering team is something which tries to make Google better, and we have many of the in-house products which we eventually keep building on. And there, I was working as a software developer. And what we eventually do is we try to build the products that serve most of the Googlers, and we will try to enhance the experience of the users.
Awesome. And how is it since Google is the most sought after organization, as we all know? How are your experiences working at Google? If there's one thing that you have observed, what is done differently at Google as compared to the rest of the organizations?
So, experience at Google has been brilliant. So, the most important thing which I like in Google is the kind of collaboration which we do. So, let's say whenever if you wanted to do some project, so the most important thing what we observe is the curiosity. So what we think is how do we better serve the customer, and what is the best experience we can give it to the customer is the first thing which we think of. And eventually later we will try to think how efficiently we can do that. So at the end of the day, what we need to do is we need to ensure that whatever the feature which we are developing, we wanted to ensure that it stays for a long time and it scales for most of the people. So during that time, we have a lot of discussions, and during that time, many of the senior people also get involved. So there are lot of design discussions here and there. And the one thing, as I said, I like in Google is the kind of collaboration which we made. We are free to express our opinions, and eventually our seniors also give some kind of feedback. And in Google, one more important thing is even there is no kind of level barrier. So whether it is juniors or whether it is seniors or any kind of people, they just keep an opinion, and we are open to everyone's feedback. So this is one kind of collaborative environment which Google provides, so that it ensures that we become more and more better, and at the same time we serve our customers better. So one thing I feel this is something which I didn't see. I don't say didn't see, but this is one kind of good thing in Google which is doing a lot better.
Oh, excellent. To sum it up, you mean to say that the teamwork is really great, the team culture, and that everyone, you take opinions from everyone, and everyone is treated as an equal, is what you want to say.
There
Yeah.
is one such kind of feature that every company needs to have it, because at the end of the day, when we try to work in a company, you wanted to express your thoughts.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to express your thoughts, you wanted to get valued. So whether
Awesome.
you're
Yeah.
taken or not, firstly, you want someone to hear your thoughts. So that is where Google is way better placed than any other company.
100%, yeah. So in your introduction itself, you mentioned that you work for different companies, and since I've seen you, since you have been my batchmate, I've seen you since college. You have been a very hardworking, and of course, a combination of both hardworking and intelligent guy. And you have worked across different product-based companies that you already mentioned. So there's this question that how has been your journey right after the placements, and then after that, what it took you to crack top tier product based companies, if you would like to share.
Yeah. So yeah, post college, as you know, in campus placements, I was placed in Oppo. And despite getting placed in Oppo, I was quite not satisfied with that. So because I want to crack bigger product based companies. So eventually in the fourth year, I started preparing more and more for the bigger product based companies. And eventually I got placed in DShaw. And yeah, if you ask about my journey, I don't say my journey is smooth. So there has been a lot of ups and downs, and there has been a lot of learnings in the middle. So eventually, whenever I used to work in DShaw, there used to be a lot of in-house products where I worked on. many of the in-house products, but at the same time, like I was lacking exposure to the cloud platforms. Because when you are working on in-house products, like you like basically like you might be lacking some knowledge on outside projects like which are working on cloud, which are scaling well and everything. So at that moment, I feel like maybe I was lacking some kind of skills. Like the work at Tisha has been pretty good, but at the same time, what I felt is maybe I need to explore more. I need to go outside and then see like how others are building the products. Because like during discussions, whenever I used to discuss with friends, like there are like a lot of technical terms like which when I used to hear like the scalability, availability, like the way how they are achieving that. I used to get this FOMO. So I guess like maybe I was missing something. And I felt like maybe, I wanted to build everything from the scratch. And also at the same time, like that time, this A and everything is not there. So that time, like when I talked to most of the seniors, so what they suggested is maybe if you start working in a startup, so you will get more of an experience because like you will know all the nitty-gritty details and you will be building everything from the scratch. So you will be understanding most of the things and also like you will be working with the scale. So with that suggestion, I just started giving interviews with startups. So that time it's been pretty hard for me. So despite coming from DE shop, so many people are expecting some cloud experience from me, which I don't have it. So yeah, that's time. It's been a bit hard of a time for me, but still, like eventually, I started looking into few of the system designing videos and also trying to understand like how others are building the products. And then eventually, I just moved on to the startup, and I feel working in startup is a game changer for me. I guess that is where like I feel like there is a new transformation that I see a kind of new transformation because there I started building products from the very scratch. So at that moment, like you need to start thinking many of the aspects, like in what aspects this is going to fail, like what are the kind of edge cases you have, what are the different technologies that exist outside, which technology you want to use, which technology you don't want it to use. So these kind of things are something like only once you do in practical life, only then you will be aware of that. So then eventually cracking Uber and Google is just a cakewalk for me because later on, like with the expertise what I got, I just started looking out for other companies because when after working in startup for 2 years, I felt like maybe I got all the experiences whatever I wished for. So eventually, I started giving interviews with Microsoft, Google, and Uber. So during that time, like I just got offers from all of the 3, and then in first I joined Uber because like Google has a lot of delay, and I eventually joined Google.
Yeah, excellent. What an insight, Indraneel. As I remember from the previous discussion that we had, you mentioned that you felt that the details of the tech were missing, and even after working at DShaw and being from NIT Warangal Computer Science, you faced the difficulties in cracking the interviews. But then eventually you worked hard on your system design concepts and other details, and then eventually you got into startup, and you weren't hesitant to dive into that and actually learn the skills that matter, and then that eventually helped you upskill, and then you decided to move on.
Yeah. And also one thing like I wanted to add here is, so there is a lot of difference between practical knowledge and theoretical knowledge.
Yes.
So like when I tried eventually, like when I was trying to switch from DShaw, so to looking for a big startup or kind of thing. So I had some theoretical knowledge that time. So I was reading a lot of books and also watching a lot of videos. So during that time itself, like I had a lot of expertise, but at the same time, like when I was going into interviews, like when they start digging in deep, so I was not able to answer most of the questions because the point is that's what I say. Like there is a lot of difference between theory and practicals.
Yeah.
So once you go into practicals, like you will face more and more errors, and also you will face more problems. So solving that gives you knowledge which none of the theory books will give.
Yeah.
So, yes, theory books are great. Definitely, you need to go through them. But at the same time, what I feel is getting practical knowledge is something which is very important. So that's when I feel like startup really made a tremendous change in me because I just started like instead of reading the theory, I just started vibe coding. After itself, I just started coding it out. I started testing it. Then I used to understand, okay, this is how it is going to work. And I feel, this is one of the most important things which I learned.
Awesome. I think this would be one of the key questions of the discussion, that since Google is the most sought after organization for the engineers, software engineers, and you have been able to crack that. So if you would like to share the insights on how to prepare for something like that, and how do you go about that?
So one most important thing, or like one important suggestion which I wanted to give to anyone, like if they are preparing for whether Google or Uber or anything, is So they have to do the company specific preparation. So I will tell you why. So I see like a lot of freshers, what they eventually do is like they start preparing DSA and they solve a lot of questions. But the point is like you need to understand like what is the kind of questions which the company is asking. So like eventually like in my initial career days, like I also did the same mistake where I was preparing everything and but I was missing few of the important nuances. But at the same time, like when I used to go to that company interviews, when after the interview is completed, like of course when I used to get rejected, so when I used to see that interview experiences, I saw that that question was asked like a lot more times before. So that's why like what I always say is like whenever you go for any company, whether it is Google or Uber or Microsoft or any big MNCs like whatever you name, there are like many experiences outside there. Whether you can see that a lot of experiences on Glassdoor, LeetCode. So these are the kind of platforms where you can see the experiences. What I strongly recommend is before you start the preparation itself, just go through those websites because once you try to understand like what are the kinds of questions they are asking, eventually you move in a direction which is the way like where you can crack. Because without knowing like what are the kind of questions they are asking, just doing some random programming every single day or like preparing random concepts like doesn't help you. Yes, you might be getting some good context over that concept or something, but at the same time, if it is not being asked in the interview and you are targeting that company, then it's just a waste of time.
Yeah.
So, in fact, like for me, like the preparation, what I made is like when I was preparing for Google, so I was just looking into all the previous 6 months experiences. So I was opening code, I was opening Glassdoor, and I was trying to look into the experiences, like what are the kind of questions they're asking. And then there I realized that okay, like these are the kind of concepts like which they're focusing on. And especially like what I observed is like during those interviews, they are focusing more on getting the most optimal solution.
Yeah.
Yeah, during the interviews, this is one such thing which I had observed during this previous interview experiences. And then I realized that, okay, like whatever the solution, then I started practicing. So I just try to get the most optimal solution, like big O of one or big O of n, like whatever. So that's the most important thing. Like even the same case with Uber. So during Uber, like I was just going through the previous questions. Then I understood that, okay, like these are the kind of questions they are trying to focus on. For suppose like multi-threading and something which they focus on LLD. So I need to get stronger at threading. So based on that, I just started with my preparation and eventually like in that similar patterns, like even like we might get the interviews. And that's why I say company-based preparation is most important. So this is what like most of the people lack currently because like of course like people when they prepare like they prepare for all the companies together. That's why they just try to focus on like all the concepts. But still, like whenever you go for any kind of interviews, like what I suggest you strongly is just try to do the company specific interview. So when you do that company specific questions, if you try to solve that right, eventually there are higher chances that you might crack it.
So the extract from this is you have to fine tune your preparation according to the company that you are appearing for. And the another thing is that as engineers, you are expected to give the most optimal solutions. And maybe prepare for the optimal solutions and optimal approach. Yeah.
Correct.
So how many rounds did you face at Google?
In Google, basically there are 5 rounds. So firstly, there will be a screening round, and in that screening round, like you have to solve the questions. And after you solve the question, and also like in Google, I guess this is a very open secret.
Yeah.
So in Google, basically there are like 6 kinds of ratings. 3 are like positives and 3 are like negatives. So like what I suggest is I try to get at least positive in most of the interviews, or at least all the interviews if possible. So firstly, there will be a screening round, and in the screening round, if you get a positive, you just move on to the next set of rounds. The next set of rounds include 3 coding rounds and 1 behavioral round. So once again, in these 3 coding rounds, like you will be asked a question where you are expected to do the most optimal solution, and you're expected to code it completely, and you're expected to make a dry run of it. So you can't say like I just solved partial question, like I was almost there, like I don't get time, like these kind of excuses won't work. So you need to solve that question completely, and like of course, like if the time permits, they might ask a follow-up question. And this is the kind of structure they follow in coding. And also, like during coding, like you're expected to give a proper structured code. What I mean by structured code in the sense, you just say int a is equal to int b is equal to, that is not the kind of variable naming which you wanted to do. So you wanted to give a proper variable naming, you wanted to give a proper method naming. And also after that, like you need to explain what is the time complexity, what is the space complexity. And also one most important thing in interviews is you need to ensure that like you give the thought process properly.
Yeah.
So, like you just can't keep silent in an interview saying, let me think. So just speak out your thought process, like when the interview asks the question. So whatever the thought process, just speak it out. So that the interview also understands that, okay, this is the way of their thought process and whether they are trying, what is the direction in which you are trying to go. So this is also one of the most common problem like which people do, because when they ask a question like which they don't know, they just try to write it on some paper and they just try to take some time, but eventually the time gets burned out during that time.
Yeah.
But at least if you try to speak out your thought process, the interviewer also sees like in what direction you are going on, and there's a very high chance that the interviewer may correct you, saying that this is not the directions which you want to go in. So maybe you come in this direction. So speak of the thought process and be crystal clear in your thoughts and try to write a structured code and explain the time and space complexities. And also please try to understand that like interview is just 45 minutes. So try to make it as fast as possible so that there can be follow-up questions. But of course, like one complete question solving is better.
Okay, so the takeaway from this particular discussion is that you have to, while solving the question, you have to speak out your thought process, so that even if you are not able to completely solve the question, at least the interviewer understands in what direction you are thinking. And if by chance you are thinking in the wrong direction, there are high chances that he might correct you. So I think this part is clear. Now, what I would like to ask is, with the arrival of AI, how as software engineers things might have evolved for you, and what kind of changes do you observe, and what is your take on the AI thing?
So previously, like when I joined this software firm, like in 2020, so that time, like whenever a fresher has joined, like the key takeaway from the fresher is they try to understand like how well the fresher is trying to understand the problem and how well they are trying to code it out. Like, are they coding according to that industry standards or something? They try to analyze both your technical skills and your understanding skills.
Yeah.
So whenever like even you used to go for reviews, like what they used to see is they used to see like what is the kind of projects you worked on, and also what are the solutions you came up with, and also how did you code?
Yeah.
Like what are some quality PRs like which you had raised. So that used to be the case like when I joined in the industry. So technical skills are like one of the most important thing, like how well you're proficient at language and how well you're proficient at framework. But now with the advent of AI is doing all the code. So now there is a shift in the perspective. So when I mean shift in the perspective, technical skills do matter a lot still, but still now the point is they don't weigh that much. It used to weigh before. So previously, like if you don't know what is a Spring Boot or what is a Spring framework, like you need to understand it and you need to code accordingly. But now, despite you understand the Spring framework or you don't understand Spring framework, you will do the vibe coding. You just ask AI to do, and AI is becoming more smarter these days, and it is giving us some quality code. So all you need to do is you just need to understand, like you need to see like whether the code is proper or not. So that's all you need to understand. Okay, this is the framework, this is the code it has written. Is it following the industry standards or not? And of course, unfortunately, like even there are agents like which review even that to check whether they are according to the standards or not. So that's why technical skills don't weigh that much in these days. But still, the most important thing that weigh a lot even till today is the problem solving. So the point is, whenever you try to solve a problem, you ask AI, it gives you a lot of suggestions. But at the same time, even till today, like there are many suggestions which works way better than that AI suggestions. So that's why, like even till today, you might be thinking like why people are asking DSA, because like now AI came, AI is solving everything. Now you might think like why people still need DSA. They're not actually seeing your DSA skills, but they are seeing your problem solving skills.
Yeah.
So you got a problem, like you got a problem statement, like how are you going to solve that? So this is still very prominent even till today in the world of AI. So that's why like even when we try to evaluate any interns or something, previously what we used to do is we used to see like how are they able to code it or not, are they able to test it or not. Like we used to see the technical skills, problem solving, we used to do like lighter things because they are just interns or something. But now when freshers or interns are coming, like what we are looking is we are not focusing on the technical skills.
Okay.
What we are focusing is are they really understanding the problem? And like what are the solutions they are coming up for the problem, because now they have all the resources, they have the AI resources, they have all the technical skills. So now they have all the resources. So that's why like, we try to understand like what is the thought process. And also there can be many kind of ambiguities. So we try to say like, are they being proactive or not? Because in this AI world, I will tell you something, velocity is most important. Because now coding is being done in just one day or something. So velocity comes into picture. So are you delivering the products with a good velocity or not? And are you understanding the problem well or not? Are the crucial things. So for that to happen, like you need to clear your ambiguities. You need to ensure that like you are very clear on the problem statement, and then you deliver the product with utmost quality and also with a quick velocity. That's why, like as I say, like if you want me to give what is the suggestion for this juniors or interns, like what I really recommend is try to solve the problems in a better way. That is still prominent, and that will be the most prominent even with the AI's arrival. Because whenever a problem statement is given, the way in which you solve it in a very quality way, that is going to be the key metric these days. So I feel that is how previously the impact is something like how many PRs you have raised, what is the kind of quality code you had written, and also like how many projects you have delivered. But now those metrics are eventually going, because eventually the new metrics are something like PR count, like people are not caring much about. So now what they are caring about is like how quickly you deliver the project and with how much quality you deliver the project. So that is the key metrics in recent days in the AI world.
So the takeaway from this is that even after the advent of AI, the technical skills might weigh a little lower, but
Yes.
you need to be really good with the problem solving skills. And I think
Correct.
engineering, as an engineer, you have to be good at problem solving. And I
Correct.
think AI is aiding to that. So there's this fear among the engineers who are working in the software domain about the layoffs and all, about them being not too relevant. And also there's this fear in the college students who are currently pursuing BTech in the computer science, I mean the circuit branches mainly, who aim to become a software engineer later on. So what is your take on how do they need to look at things, and what is your take on this entire thing?
Yeah, that's a good question. So this is the kind of FOMO, once again, everyone has it, right? So people are like having really scared, thinking that, okay, we might be missing something. The AI is evaluating every day, and people are thinking that, oh, are we missing out something? And like people are really getting scared, and also people are thinking like, will there be jobs in future? And also like juniors or like people who are trying to come into the software world, like they are also thinking that like whether can we go into that or not? Is it a really safe venture which we can go on? So I will tell you something. So like my manager gave me this example previously. So when I was talking to him about AI, so he said that like in 2000s or something, there was an internet boom. So when there was internet booming, like like every banks got computerized. So when are getting computerized, like there was a lot of discussion among the people saying that okay, now the computers have came, now the jobs will be going away, and there is a lot of fear among all the people. But if you see straightforward after 25 years, like the arrival of computer and internet created more jobs.
Yes.
So it eventually created more jobs, and it has created more employment.
Exactly.
So we never know like in what direction this AI also will go. So the point is, yes, AI is a very important tool in getting more velocity, but that doesn't mean that like there will be job layoffs. Yes, like initially the workforce might be reduced, because the point is like people are thinking that yes, AI is doing most of the jobs, so we might not need more resources. And also you might be seeing in news saying that there are a lot of layoffs in Oracle and Microsoft, whatever it is. Like there are, almost all the companies are doing those layoffs.
Yes.
So of course there is no. I mean, I understand that people had fear in that, but at the same time, like what I wanted to do is we're in a transition phase. So this transition phase, like eventually there will be new kind of roles that will be coming. So what do I mean by new roles is that where like you might be working on AI related part. So where you might be training the AI.
Yeah.
So of course the typical jobs might be going away. So suppose previously, there are some kind of jobs like data entry or some kind of management, monitoring. These kind of jobs used to be there, right? Database management, monitoring. So these kind of jobs might go away. And also at one point of time, maybe even the software engineering where people are developing this API services and everything, even that can be automated. But the point is like there can be a shift. So what do I mean by shift is people can get new responsibilities. People need to wear more hats. What do I mean by more hats is previously, product managers used to go and discuss with business people saying that, hey, like what are the products? Give me the product requirements. I will get the product requirements and then I pass it on to the developers.
Yeah.
But now the developers might need to do this job also, where they need to talk to the business, get the requirements clear. And these kind of middle layers, whatever there, that can eventually move away. But once again, the point is, yes, like now we are in a transition phase and we don't know like how it is going to transform the future. But eventually, whatever the kind of boom we get, like eventually it will create more employment. But we need to understand in what direction it will go. Because sometimes recently you might have heard this news also, right? Where people are like hiring back the employees.
Rehiring, yeah.
Pay costs are much more, and
Yeah.
that's what they are hiring the employees because they felt employees are more cheaper than AI.
Yeah.
But once again, yeah, you never know. Like AI will once again come up saying that we made this optimization, now token cost is once again reduced. So these kind of things can always happen, but at the same time, you need to be on the top of the pyramid. What do I mean by top of the pyramid is like if you take a big pyramid on the in terms of skills and everything. So if you try to be on the top of the pyramid, where you try to understand all the AI skills, you try to be aware of like what are the models that are coming into the market, like what are the skills they possess, like how they are doing, like how we can utilize that, or how we can improvise that so that like we can utilize it to the best in our project. So that is what keeps your job. So I feel that is how you need to tune your mind also, saying that I wanted to be aware of like what are the skills which I'm learning today, and also what are the new technology that is coming into market. So that is I feel it's a kind of down thing in software because it is constantly evolving and you need to study it
Yeah.
constantly.
You need to constantly upskill. Yeah.
Oh, I just studied this and I got some good experience. Now I can relax. No, you can never do that.
Yeah. Not
You just
possible in software domain. Yeah.
correct. Like you just need to keep studying. You just, as I said, like you always need to be on the top of the pyramid. So when you're on the top of the pyramid, you don't need to worry about all the
Yeah. Yeah.
job.
100%.
When you just says like I just wanted to relax because maybe I made years or 10 years experience. I got a lot of experience now. I want to relax. Then you need to worry.
If you want to relax that I am well versed with the tech, that is not possible. I would like to credit your manager for giving a really good example regarding the computerization of the banking domain, and we can take away from that the AI would transform the nature of the jobs. We are in between the transition. As people are fearing that it will take away the jobs, instead you give it a positive light that it might just transform the jobs, transform the nature of the jobs. You need to wear multiple hats. You need to be good at adopting to different things, and then it will eventually create more jobs in it.
Yes.
In that particular domain. So
Yeah.
that is a very positive thing to hear in between of the all the buzz.
There is a lot of negative news in the world
Yeah.
saying, people are getting laid off, people are getting laid off, it's AI, it's AI.
Yeah.
Like, thing you need to understand is, like, layoffs are not always because of AI. Like, there can be many factors that are involved in AI.
Yes,
So, for
yes.
example, let's say a company, like, thought of investing in a new project. So, they start hiring aggressively for more and more people. But eventually, like, they see like if the project is going well in that outside market or not. They see like if the revenue is getting generated properly or not.
Yes.
But if they feel like, okay, this is not going to work, this might not be the revenue generating model prepared. So eventually then what they feel is, okay, now we have this entire section of team, like which we hired only for this project. And now anyway, we are not going ahead with that project. Okay, now let's try to lay off those people.
Yeah.
So sometimes, companies' costs are much more, like when the costs are getting much more, right? So even companies need to lay off few things because they need to cut down their costs.
Yes.
So like, yeah, we can't blame AI for every layoff.
Yeah,
because even before AI, there are like many layoffs. But the only thing is just because AI came, like there is a lot of fear among the people that like we are losing jobs just because of AI. But I don't agree with that because like there are many other factors which are involved, but maybe in the outside cover, like AI is getting too much of a native PR.
Yeah. Awesome. So what a positive thing to hear, Indraneel. And I think I am done with the majority of the questions. If you would like to add anything to that, you are free to do that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I wanted to give just one advice for freshers and also people like who are trying to come into software. Software is a beautiful domain. like you have a lot to learn there, but it is like one such domain like where you need to keep learning constantly. So because learning is constant in software, like there is no way you can deny that point. So if you are really passionate about software and if you really wanted to learn throughout your career, and then you can get the real essence of software, like you really start enjoying it.
Yeah.
And yeah, eventually, like like, but at the same time, if you really want a safe job where you just wanted to just settle and just wanted to go with the flow, then software might not be a good place, because we don't know like how software is being transformed now. So that is one important thing to keep in mind. And second thing, what I wanted to say is try to understand like what AI, how AI is evolving, and also make the best use of it. Because recently, like whenever some like there are people like who are coming to me to give advices or something. So I was saying them some techniques, saying that hey, okay, let's say this is your job profile. Okay, like this is the resume which you kept, and also what happens is companies list their jobs in the job portals. Like every company has their careers page, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So you can just write a simple agent for yourself, saying that hey, every single morning just go out there, like see like what are the jobs that are
Yeah.
available for me, and just give me a list of all the jobs.
Yeah.
So these agents already do that. So just try to leverage AI, and also if you don't understand the concept, give it to AI. Just try to understand it deep. But the only thing is, don't rely too much on AI. So one problem which I observed at least with my interns or juniors is, so they do a lot of AI, like they just ask AI and AI generates a lot of code. And after generating a lot of code, like when I try to ask them like, hey, can you explain me like what is this code? So they were not in a state to explain it.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of over dependency is not expected from people.
Yeah.
So yeah, like make the best use of AI, but at the same time don't be too dependent on it. For suppose previously our carpenters, what they used to do is they used to make with some nail tools, like in our childhood. But
Yeah.
later, eventually, we are getting some good machines. So with that, like eventually, their work get more efficient and more faster.
Yeah. Yeah.
And AI is also exactly the same thing. So I feel AI is a good thing that happened. Like we don't need to worry about that. So it is just changing the landscape of software. So we are in the transition phase, but at the same time, don't worry. Try to be more efficient and try to be good at problem solving. And whatever you're trying to learn, not because just AI is doing, just be light. Because I feel like, few students are also complaining me, saying that these days core forces, core chef, when they're doing this kind of competitive programming, they're just getting some code from the AI and just making some changes and submitting it. So it's just that cheating yourself. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you might be top on the board, but you're cheating yourself. You're not going to survive anywhere in the industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why, yeah. So yeah, these are my suggestions. And
Yeah, I think that is an excellent suggestion, and I will let that be a concluding remark. Indraneel, thank you so much for taking your time out on weekend instead of going out and partying, agreeing to have a discussion, agreeing to guide people. I think that is a very noble thing to do. Thank you so much for taking out your time, and I'll see you around.
yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Indraneel. Yeah.